That's for sure. Here we go. Set number 2. Liquid with 1 in hand. And Egor now getting into the mix, as well as Xopxsam. So despite having some deeper roster over on the SK side, sticking with their main guys. And Egor kicking things off for Team Liquid, same as Xopxsam. Both guys coming off the bench and into the second King of the Hill set. Tiger King versus Carol Baskin. That one's pretty good too.
That is the best one, I think.
So Xopxsam going Piggies. And Egor, Mega Knight Night Witch. Heal Spirit versus Ice Spirit. That's interesting.
Yeah, and we saw that the last time I was on the show. I still firmly believe Heal Spirit is way better than Ice Spirit in this meta right now. You have the same thoughts?
I think so too. I think there are still a couple of decks where Ice Spirit might be better. I think that in Hoggy Q in particular, I think Ice Spirit's better than Heal Spirit if you're playing it. Just because Hog doesn't get this, nothing in Hoggy Q gets the same benefit from the Heal Spirit as some of these decks that have, you know, bigger groups like this one in particular. But overall, whether you're playing Lumber Loon Cycle, I think Heal Spirit is better. Of course, there are matchups where you might prefer to have an Ice Spirit, but on balance, I think in most decks, Heal Spirit is a better option.
For sure, 100% agree with that.
I mean, obviously, in Expo, I think Ice Spirit's better. But
yeah. Unless the Heal Spirit can just suddenly heal up the Expo, then yeah, you gotta stick with that Ice Spirit because there's really no value out of it.
Coach Try adding one more versus over on the Mad Cat side. Charlie versus Slayton Jr. That's no rivalry. They haven't met yet, but I'm sure future fast friends, those two young boys. Egor and Sam currently battling it out. No one's really established a foothold here, but as we move into double elixir time, have to imagine that one of these two will pull ahead. Of course, it's been very tight so far. And this is interesting, an E-Golem deck without Battle Healer, without Electro Dragon. What are we seeing here, Chachi?
Yeah, this is some wonky deck from Egor for sure. I mean, we've seen wonky decks in CRL with the Mega Knight, P.E.K.K.A, Sparky, all these weird stuff, but I don't think I've seen Eagle Mega Knight in a long, long time. It's maybe in a classic challenge with some crazy decks, but definitely not competitive.
Here we go. Mega Knight takes care of the piggies on one side, but E-Golem pushes to the opposite lane, and now an E-Golem with the Mega Knight behind. And Xopxsam is starting to load up opposite lane with the piggies. Heal Spirit, though, not available to go help them out. And now that Egor doing some damage on the right-hand side, but uses the Heal Spirit defensively. And I love seeing that. Heal Spirit comes out to help out with those Barbarians against that push on the right-hand lane. But right now, it's Egor pulling way ahead with this off-meta E-Golem deck. And Sam trying to load up at the bridge here with the Barbarians, maybe just force out some responses onto that left-hand side and not keep the battle on the right-hand side where he's down to under 400 HP. Heal Spirit just to slow things down for a little bit. Bar Barrel out as well. So Sam doing everything he can to keep this in the right-hand lane and keep this battle, so keep this in the left-hand lane, keep it away from that low right-hand tower. Here we go. Piggies should be coming out fairly soon. Goes ahead and cycles Heal Spirit ahead rather than in the back. And here we go. On the right-hand side, this is the big push for Egor. Mega Knight doesn't leap to those Barbarians, so that actually helps out Sam quite a bit. Piggy's trying to slide on past 972 left-hand lane. A couple of them do get on tower, and Sam defending very well on the right-hand side. Suddenly, we have a race in our hands. Xopxsam in the lead, Poison down on the right-hand side, EQ down on the left-hand side. Piggy's coming in for Sam, Mega Knight in response, and just trying to load it up on the left-hand lane within poison range on the right-hand side. EQ doesn't get it done, but the Firecracker does. Xopxsam survives by a poison again. Sam was able to push on the right-hand side. Yes, I know that graphic says Egor there, but they will update it in just a moment. That's not on my side. Coming up, second game, Xopxsam against Diego B for game number 2. And this time, both players slowing down a little bit. You know, Diego B had a rough end to his season. Certainly did not like, was unhappy with his performance at CRL Worlds. But he's been on fire lately. I don't know, Chachi, have you been following what Diego's been doing a little bit? Any ideas as to what's been the key behind him being so successful?
Again, I feel like he's one of those players that plays really well when he's in a comfortable environment at his house. I've talked to him a couple times, played a couple games of Fortnite with him, and just ask him those kind of questions. And he's definitely one of those players that likes being in a comfortable position. Obviously, he's had a lot of experience being on stage, and that helps over time, but still it gets a little uncomfortable when he's up on stage. So I think he definitely plays a lot better when he's at home and comfortable.
Still plays well on stage, though. Lifetime win rate in
sure.
Clash Royale League, 56% over his 3 seasons with Team Liquid. 53 games won, 40 lost, and a 15 sets won, or 14 sets to 8 losses. So those set wins, very, very important when you think about the overall picture of a player. Although that stat, there actually may be more stats that he's won. Yeah, I don't know why I don't have the set records for those other 2. Yeah, I know how to update those. Those did not come
on, Rich.
Well, I'm looking here. No, yeah, his set record is much better than that because I'm like, wait a second. I know for a fact, I'm looking at the numbers right now, that those sets don't match those games. Still working on getting my stats ready for CROS spring season, everybody. And as soon as the Sparky comes down, opposite direction, Sam goes, here's an Elixir Golem and a Battle Healer and a bunch of other stuff. And he has plenty of Elixir to deal with, because there's an Electro Dragon. But look at this, Diego B playing very smart, splitting lanes here, and playing the Rage variation. So this is interesting. Some of you might not have seen much of this, but this specific Goblin Giant Sparky Rage deck has been very popular in open tournaments, those like in-game 1,000-person tournaments. We saw this a lot in qualifiers for the CWA Cup. If you're trying to put up a lot of wins, a lot of crowns quickly in one of those 1,000-person in-game tournaments, the deck Diego B is running right now might be the best one for it. It wins games quickly, and it wins games often with 3 crowns.
And to top it all off, it's one of the most fun decks to play, especially when you're tired of meta decks. It's just so fun to play that Rage, because most of the time you don't throw a Rage in any of your decks, especially if you're trying to win or do something competitive. But this one does pretty well.
Yeah, trying to think of how many times we've seen the Rage spell in competitive play. Obviously seen a little bit in 2v2, more in the East than in the West, where the Eastern players tend to favor the Rage spell over Lumberjack and 2v2 decks. But haven't seen much of Rage in head-to-head play. But this, if there's a deck to expect it in, this is the one. So far, though, not working out for Diego, playing way far behind. It looks like Sam might go 2 in a row here, putting these towers in a lot of trouble. And there comes the good game out of Diego B. GG, well played. Sam plays a great game in Game 1, goes high stinky cheese in Game 2.
Maybe you're going to throw it down, maybe you won't. So it adds in a little bit of those mind games that players aren't used to seeing.
People on the chat on the Mad Cat side debating Battle Healer and Heal Spirit. Personally, if I'm choosing which one of those 2 I think is more interesting for the meta, I'm going to definitely go with Heal Spirit. What do you think in that battle there, Chachi? Battle Healer or Heal Spirit? If you have to yeet one and keep one, which one are you tossing out of the game? Which one are you keeping?
If I had to toss one out, I'm definitely tossing out the Battle Healer, just because Egor Battle Healer is just so aggravating when you have no answers for it. But honestly, I feel like they're almost 2. I mean, obviously they are 2 different cards, but they're like 2 different types of cards. I guess it's like comparison of a Golem and a Lava Hound to me. Like, Heal Spirit is a one-time use. It's really, really strong, and I don't think we know the true scope of how good it is yet because of how crazy this meta is. But Battle Healer we know is really good, and we've seen a lot of decks really shine with it, and most people know how it works and how it functions. But again, I feel like Heal Spirit still hasn't unlocked its true potential.
We'll definitely seen a lot of it here, and Sam going back to Royal Hog's Heal Spirit, trying to complete the 1-2-3. See if he can knock out Kanarioo, who went 2-1 in the first set.
Yeah, and if I'm Kanarioo or anybody on Team Liquid, I know Sam really, really enjoys Royal Hogs. Like, that's one of his favorite archetypes in the game. So I'm probably running definitely a building or NATO or Mega Knight, something to be able to take care of Hogs or splash troops very well. And it looks like Kanarioo's running that Goblin Hunt, that Flying Machine deck that we saw him run a little earlier. So we'll see how it fares against this Hunter Royal Hogs Heal Spirit deck.
Going to play some defense here, probably running Golem. We saw him run this in the first set. And so far having to play defense, no real opportunity to throw down the big pile of rocks quite yet. And poisons off the Firecracker. Flying Machine not able to get the tower and going to be taken by the Princess Tower. A high Goblin Hut trying to avoid the EQ. Able to defend the Piggies most of the way. But Kanarioo's had to spend a lot just to stay alive. And that left-hand tower going to be very, very low right now. Mike Woolsey with 279 Canadian as a donation. Thank you very much, Mike. Really appreciate it. I know Chachi and I are both happy to have your support. That's going to be tower down, left-hand side, and the Golem just never, I believe this Golem, we'll see, of course, in the stats view, this should be the same deck as running before. Never able to get it down. Sam able to keep the pressure on the entire way through. GG, well played, and Sam going bell to bell, 1, 2, 3. And guess what? We're going to set number 3 for the 7th time in a row, keeping the stream alive here